All right, so I'm a little nervous, so I'm going to give it my best shot. Amen, brother. So my story begins with my parents raising me. I lived in a Christian home. My parents were always there for me. That was great. But I always felt that I was forced to go to church growing up. It was difficult, confusing, didn't understand the God concept at all. Always trying to figure things out on my own. So fast forward a couple of years, I'm in my teenage years, first starting going into high school, just really struggling to fill this empty void that, just always felt empty, always trying to fit in, never was able to. So that's when I discovered marijuana. And that made me feel invincible. I didn't care what other people thought. I felt great. I felt great. And that quickly turned into alcohol and mushrooms and psychedelics and all that terrible stuff. So I'm now past high school and dropped out of high school to start working. And I'm 20 years old at Farm Boy, and I finally found a real job. Started cutting meat. I'm a butcher, 20 years old. And a couple of things happened in my past when I was 6 and when I was 11. One good and one not so good. When I was 20 years old, my roommate was telling me that he read a book called The God Delusion by Richard Dawkins. And in that book, the gentleman, not really a gentleman, but anyways, he stated that because he was molested as a child, he had the right to lightly touch children, and that triggered some past memories. When I was 6 years old, I was molested, and I was not happy to hear that. Those memories were blocked from when I was a child. It was so traumatic that my brain just blocked it out deep into my subconscious so I wouldn't have to think about it. And at 20 years old, it came to light, and that's when my path of drugs and alcohol really took a turn for the worse, because instead of using to have fun, I now use to try to forget. And 21, 22 years old, 23 years old, I just could not get those images out of my head. Still struggling to fill the void, trying to forget, trying to fit in. And I lost my job as a butcher. Ended up working at a dispensary, making a lot of money, but spending it just as fast as I was making it. All on drugs, all on alcohol, just to forget, keep my mind off of my past. And then that closed down, and I ended up in a trap house to trap house, selling drugs, and still did not know what to do. I was at my wit's end, 130 pounds. I was a skeleton. And my parents hadn't heard from me in a year. Didn't want to talk to them. I didn't know what to say. I owed my parents money. I owed the bank money. I owed everybody money. I was out of control. So 3 situations led me to realize I was in trouble and I needed to get help. First one, a buddy from Sherbrooke came down, and he had a Ziploc bag full of pills, and he threw it at me, and I realized I was going to jail if I ever get caught with this. I'm done, 10 years minimum. That was the first situation. Second situation, I was, like I said, I was selling drugs, but I was the guy on the phones. So customers would call, I would take the call and send a driver, and they would deliver anyways. One girl that was working for us was let go, and she came back for her stuff, and apparently one of her phones was the one I was using, and I didn't know. And she started getting upset, and I was raised never to lay a hand on a woman whatsoever. I don't care if you're a bodybuilder, I don't care. I will never raise a hand on a girl. So I let her kick the shit out of me while she was trying to get the phone, and I just gave up. Threw the phone at her. Have your phone. Just leave me alone. Second situation gone. Third, my buddies were drinking. I was just bottom, hopeless, no idea what I'm doing. Just nothing was enough. No drugs, no alcohol was enough to, just depressed. And we were all drinking, and two of my buddies get into a fight. One of my good buddies, who I knew from high school, was getting called the N-word, and I didn't appreciate that. So he proceeds to fight the other guy, and I was happy because, I wanted to see that guy get what was coming to him, but he was gonna really hurt the guy. So I put my good buddy in a headlock to remove him from my other acquaintance that I just didn't want either of them to get hurt, and I hurt my friend trying to get him off of the other guy. After that, I realized there's nothing, I am powerless. There's nothing I can do, no void that can be filled by myself. I decided to pray, and I hadn't done that in years. So I prayed, and I said, God, I don't know what I'm doing anymore. I need you. Tell me what to do, and I'll do it. And just like a shock to my brain, all I heard was, call your dad. You know what you got to do. Call your dad. So I called my dad, and he responded with this: oh, you're alive. In a sincere way. He didn't know I was alive. He had no idea. All I saw was, are you okay? Where are you? Call me. I'm trying to call you, all these texts, and I never responded. So I called him. He came the very next day from Maniwaki, drove an hour and a half just to come pick me up, grab all my stuff, and talk about my options. Luckily for me, he knew quite a few people involved in the Jericho Road program, and told me that this is who you have to call, and 100% you got to go to detox. They were full for a month, so my parents took me in for a month. And Jericho Road had a 2-month wait after the fact, so my parents took me in for another 2 months. And wow, I am beyond blessed that I have them as parents, because, yeah. After that fact, I joined Jericho Road. It was a great 9-month program. Learned a lot. Remembered that when I was 11, I forgot about this, but I'm going to share quickly about that. When I was 11, and me and my mom were tickling each other at the top of the stairs, and we both fell. About 24 steps, and we didn't hit a single step. Not a single step. It felt like me and my mom were just gently just put down on the ground. We didn't hit a single stair. I talk to my mom about this all the time, and she says, oh, you remember that? Yeah, that actually happened. She has a little scratch on her hand. That's all that happened. Not a single bruise, nothing. I can't explain it. I don't know how. That's what happened. So during my time in Jericho, I learned a lot. I learned more about myself this past year than I have in my entire life. And it's a good thing I was in treatment, because a lot of stuff happened, one in particular that I don't know I'd be able to deal with had I still been in active addiction. This past July, I lost a very dear family member, my uncle, who died after a relapse of a heart attack in detox. And me and him were in detox when I first went into detox, like last July. And yeah, it was, I was really rooting for him. Me and him had 6 months of sobriety, everything was going well, and then he slipped, passed away, and I was heartbroken. I don't think I would still be here if I was still in active addiction, but that's what happened. And moving forward to when I graduated, life goes on, people die, it sucks. It really sucks, it hurts. But I decided to stay sober for my uncle. And I'm very grateful for that, I was able to stay sober. Grateful for my support system, and yeah, I managed to graduate December 4th of the Jericho Road program, and yeah, celebrated a year December 26th, and here I am today.